Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
Yeah, I'm MK.
And how are you?
I spent so long trying to figure out what inspirational quote I was going to do that I didn't even remotely think about what I was going to say.
Great. I love to catch you off guard.
But it's truly because nothing has changed in my life. I'm drowning in musical. Um, and there's something so wonderful about it being 12 days before the show opens and your kids not knowing what their part is, let alone what their lines are.
Good for them.
Yeah.
You could always self-predict a brighter future since you don't have anything different to say.
I could just say like this is how my life's gonna be.
Like
Um,
maybe you'll have pizza on Wednesday.
I am going to see a show on Thursday.
See?
Pretty lovely. I mean, it's a high school show.
That's okay.
Dan's kiddos, like Dan's high school kids, are doing Pippin.
That's the first show I've ever done, and I love it.
So I'm gonna go see some high schoolers do Pippin.
That's
Um,
incredible.
if
I
you
will never stop
uh
singing those
if you
songs.
want to donate money to my kids, I'm starting a fundraiser to actually, when does this episode even come out?
I don't know.
I
Thursday?
think
Two
oh
Thursdays?
I think this episode is oh God, this episode is just kidding. This comes out so far after the
Oh
fundraiser is over. The fundraiser ends on the 16th, and I'm pretty sure this episode comes out on like the 23rd.
my gosh,
Um,
that's so far away.
it's so far
Good for
away
us.
because, well, because I am busy on the 13th and you are busy on the 20th, so we're recording like hella far in advance. So this is literally the episode that comes out on the 23rd. Oh my God, that means it's the 2 days before my birthday in the
Mhm.
fake time. In
In the
the in
fake
the
time.
in the fake future time, it will be almost my
Ugh.
birthday.
You'll be done with your show.
I'll be done with my show and it'll be almost my birthday. I will have just finished seeing Beetlejuice.
Oh, stop. Ah, ah. I only have yells at you because I still never had to see it. The tickets were $600 the last like month of the show.
I believe it.
I was so mad.
Even here, like for people trying to get tickets outside of the season tickets, they were like $200.
That's how it is at Playmill right now. And like I even like really became good friends with the guy who's like one of the musicians in Beetlejuice, and he said he couldn't get me a ticket, but I asked him three different times in 1 week, just in case.
Like,
I kept
please,
trying.
just maybe like a little bit, please.
I know. I kept trying really hard, and it didn't work. But
No, yeah. So yeah, I'll just manifest the future
yes,
birthday Beetlejuice week for me.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Done. It's here. We did it.
Yes, we did it.
I
How
love
are
it.
you?
Well, I am just a little unwell, in the words of Matchbox 20, but I am working on it.
I saw a TikTok that was like, why did Matchbox 20 write the dialogue to my therapy session?
Look, look. That's how they handled their own therapy. Like,
Right.
have you never written anything? That's literally how every piece of writing comes about, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I am trying to not be a little unwell. And so I've really dove deep into my healthiness of life. And so I have this new gun here that's a massage gun for my shoulder that's trying to fall apart of my body. And it's dead now because I was playing with it on the break between episodes. But very nice.
Mhm.
And my Nora gave me this Vibes hemp CBD drink. She told me drink it when I was ready to go to bed because it would like mellow me out. No THC, just CBD. It's passion fruit pineapple. I made it very cold. Oh my gosh, I'm literally gonna embarrass myself on this podcast. I was like, I'm gonna open it on the podcast and try it. Now I can't even open it. There it goes. Okay. The whole thing. It smells delicious. Well, that is just the best drink I've ever had in my life. So great. I will not fall asleep
Um,
before the podcast is over.
Speaking of drinks, everybody knows I love my energy drinks, and this is a V8 plus sparkling energy. And to be fair, like it is how much? Uh, I don't know how much caffeine it has. Oh, caffeine level. Oh, like
Zero.
80 milligrams.
Zero caffeine level.
Okay, this V8 sparkling drink has 80 milligrams of caffeine. A typical cup of brewed coffee has 90. A leading energy drink has 80, and a leading diet soda has 46.
See,
I
that's why you just drink coffee forever.
okay, I
Coffee.
I don't know what energy drink that they're measuring that has 80 milligrams of caffeine because the energy drinks I drink have like 200, 250. I like give myself a heart attack on a daily basis.
Just drink coffee.
But this is a V8 energy drink. This is the first time I've ever had it. And it's lemon lime flavored. And TBH, it just tastes like a can of Sprite. Like I could not tell you it was an energy drink. And so I appreciate that.
Mine's just passion fruit pineapple, and that is what it tastes like. Passion fruit pineapple.
Beautiful.
I hope you've enjoyed our ad because now I'd like to give you an ad about what shows I've been watching lately. Also, I'm just gonna give you a
Good.
lot of recommendations for today.
Fantastic.
Um, I finally watched Pieces of Her, which I read the book and I didn't love. The show is really good.
Okay.
Highly recommend. You don't need to read the book. I get it. I read the book. You don't have to read it.
Yeah.
And then I've just started watching Homecoming, which like somehow I missed its existence on Amazon Prime. And the
Okay.
first season, so I'm like 5 episodes in the first season, like 35 minutes each. And it stars Julia Roberts, and it's like a thrillery, like psychological thriller. It's wild. It's
Good.
wild. Do not read the description because it kind of sounds boring with the description. It's like,
Okay.
but these like veterans in a home and help acclimate them to real life, and then weird stuff happens. And I was like, okay, great. So we're just gonna watch like another military show where no one gets better. Like, sounds great. No, absolutely not. I mean, those things are also true, but that is like not even the beginning of what's going on here. It's so good.
Yeah.
So highly recommend. Highly recommend.
I've only just, been watching the same things I always watch. I got to the episode of The Crown where they introduced Camilla yesterday.
Ooh, how fun. Who plays Camilla?
I have no idea.
Okay, great.
Like it's not somebody I know who they are, and at least in the season I'm in, because I'm in season 3, so it's the younger Camilla,
Mm-hmm.
not the older one. But also like because I'm weird, I've just been like watching a lot of like YouTube videos from 9, 10 years ago,
You've
of
literally
like
been doing that for the past 5 years.
yes,
Like,
I know, but
no.
like I've been watching like videos from the summer of the Jubilee of 2012 of the Queen's like Jubilee and just like watching all kinds of speeches. But like I've been watching Prince Charles, like King Charles give speeches as Prince Charles for like all of his like charities and stuff to like make myself not hate him.
Right.
And it worked. Like I'm kind of like super into like his beliefs about like the environment and like multiculturalism. He's kind of really interesting. He's a fascinating human.
I will never watch any of those things, but I will be happy to listen to you tell me about them one day. That's not, today. I don't have it in my brain today to hear new things about new people. Like, no, no new knowledge today.
No new
None of that.
friends.
No new friends. Maybe next week or like 7 weeks when we record again. Whatever.
Right.
Right. But you know what I do have time for today? Maybe I
Oh,
don't. We're gonna find out. Who
it's
knows?
gonna be so good. Um, so I was looking up inspirational quotes and I found a site that like sorted them by people whose birthdays are today. For like quotes that people who it's their birthday. And so I clicked on one of those just to see, and I found this quote. And it said, look up the word roll in the dictionary and you'll
Wait,
see
Roll?
Role.
Role, okay.
Yes, and you'll see that it means playing a part. So that's why I call myself a real model. Shaquille O'Neal.
Ah, yes,
And I was
fabulous.
like, you know what? Like, that seems a little dumb on the surface, but like, A, happy birthday, Shaq. And B,
Yes.
like, like, he's like, I'm not going to call myself a role model because I'm not faking what I want you to be. I'm being myself and hoping you'll see that as something you want to aspire to. And I find that like very inspiring.
Yes, it is very inspiring. I love that.
That's why I was just like, but I was like, this is going to come so far out of left field.
So far out of left field. Can't even like begin to know anything. So this
Yeah.
weird smell just like happened in my apartment. So I'm hoping it's outside and nothing's about to burn down.
Ooh.
But if it does, you're here and you'll know. So
Yeah. And I will call Caitlin because I think that's the only number I have of someone who might be able to reach your family.
you have Rachel's number, yeah?
No.
Oh,
I mean, I
okay.
have Rachel online.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can get her
Yeah.
online.
But,
I'm
but
sure we
yeah,
found some. It's
it'll
like
be
almost
fine.
like car exhaust.
Mm,
And that's just a little like disconcerting
just
sometimes.
slightly. Yeah, I would be a little concerned.
Okay, we'll know in like 15 minutes. So we'll just keep going.
Perfect.
You know, you know what else is disconcerting today?
Yeah.
Bates
And every
Motel.
day and
And
and every day.
every day. Bates Motel, season 5, episode 9. There's one episode left, and it's called Visiting Hours. We have so many few episodes left that like I finished my book. I'm on paper now. I finished my notebook. Like it's time to invest in my next one.
Oh boy.
I love buying notebooks, so
That's fair.
the smell is literally all already going away. So like
Oh, good. We're not going to
I'm
die
just
tonight.
a hot mess. It's fine. All right, we are talking about Visiting Hours. It aired April 17th, 2017, rated 8.8 out of 10, which is like not correct. It's pretty high, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
The number one song is Still Shape of You.
Of course it
Weird.
is.
Ed Sheeran till the end, probably. Number
Probably.
one movie is Guardians again, Volume 2. The number one book is The Black Book by James Patterson and David Ellis. I was gonna say this is around the
Interesting.
time when he started writing with a lot of people. No, that was like 10 years before that. Like he's been writing for at least a solid decade with other people. But I'm so hit or miss on James Patterson books. Like I've read some that were really good, and then I've read others that I'm like, I don't want to read this anymore.
Right.
But like he's a good writer. I think it's when he starts writing with other people that it's like, why did you do this? But regardless, on this day, a few things have happened. Um, the first living giant shipworm was 3 feet long, found in the Philippines. It's
Ew.
classified as a clam as opposed to a worm.
Okay.
Fun fact. Um, United Airlines stops removing passengers to make room for employees. New rule in place. And Fate of the Furious, which we've been talking about for 3 weeks now, sets
Yeah.
overseas box office records, beating Jurassic World.
Interesting.
So just some like really, really random facts for you.
I love
The
it.
director is Olatunde Usunsami, who we've talked about before. He also directed The Vault, so like last season.
Yes.
Um, our writers are still the same, but Scott Kosar is back, who wrote On Unconscious. And then our
Okay.
editor is still Paul Trejo. We talked about him 2 weeks ago. So now, because of my spoiler alert, if you watched our Sci-Fi Sunday, you do know that the guest star we will be speaking of today is Aaliyah O'Brien, who plays Regina. And she's the theme of the episode. But she's also been in another episode that we didn't talk about her in because I guess she was a really small character.
Oh, Regina. No, no,
She was
yes.
So she was also in A Boy and His Dog. So like really early on. It was like season 1, episode 8. So I'm
Isn't
guessing like
she,
we went to the police station and she was there.
I was gonna say,
Like,
isn't she the one at the front desk at the police station, like all the
yeah,
time?
I think so, but she's only credited in these 2 episodes.
Because I think those are the only two that she has conversations. Because that would be the one that she was like having a yelling match with Norma in the police
Right,
station. Yeah.
right. And but yeah, she is known for Legends of Tomorrow, Rookie Blues, Take Two, and Supernatural, and numerous Hallmark movies.
That's right.
She studied kinesiology. She was born in Victoria, British Columbia. She is Welsh, Spanish, and Irish. And she was randomly one time in a commercial for Cascade.
Beautiful. I love it.
Oh, they're the most random facts that I could have given you today for anything at all ever. And
I love
now
it.
it's time
Oh boy.
for visiting hours. Did I tell you that somebody told me I had a newscaster voice one day? They're like, you have a great newscaster voice. I was like, great, I have a podcast. Like,
Right. Whereas I have a voice that I'm so sorry that people listen to.
no, your voice is great. You're like so chill. You're so chill.
My drama teacher used to tell me all the time that my vocal fry was out of this world. I was like,
Thank you.
I know that you don't mean that as a compliment, but also I fully hear it all the time. So like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Like, what's next? Uh, you know what's next? Mugshots. We start,
Also, we start
yes,
with a stellar camera shot again
always.
of
And I think,
the
go ahead.
dual
Yeah,
existence.
we have a lot of good scenes with that in this episode.
Yeah.
I think this was like meant to be reminiscent of the scene that he had the mugshots before. Was that like the second season
Oh
when
yeah.
you remember?
When they were questioning him about, oh no, when he got picked up because he was at Cody's house when they found his dad, but then like he wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
get
yeah.
like fully booked. They had like
They
taken his
didn't book him
pictures.
because they took his they did the mugshots and the prints, but they didn't end up booking him because they were able to corroborate that it was self-defense.
Right, right. And so
Yeah.
they were like, if you're not charging him, you have to let him go.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm pretty sure it was like the same scene. It looked very similar in the mugshot part, obviously, not the rest of it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
anyways, if not, I just had really crazy deja vu. Whew.
Mhm.
Um, so he is getting fingerprinted and they're using the digital fingerprints, which I used for the first time this year,
Oh
last year,
yeah.
2 years ago, whenever I became an attorney, whatever
I was
year
gonna
that was.
say I had to get them in 2015 for grad school for teaching, and then I had to get them again in 2016 to work at Disney.
Well, I
Um,
got him and I got my fingerprints done in 2015 because I got my concealed carry license. You have to go to the like sheriff's department and get fingerprinted. And then, but they had the like ink still.
oh yeah,
I'm still like, it's a small town, so like they probably still have ink. But
yeah,
but then whenever I was getting my license and I had to go to Jersey, that must have been 2 years ago.
yeah. It was. I think
2021 is when I got licensed. Dude, I don't even
yeah,
know. Um,
that sounds correct.
yeah. So I went then and it was all I was like, am I doing this right now? Like, no, hold your finger. Like it was a
I also
process.
got my fingerprints for my TSA pre-check in
Mm,
2020, well, 2022 maybe or 2021.
yeah.
I did that. But all three of them I did digital. I've never done a stamp
Well, because
fingerprint.
you live in the real world of New York, where I lived in the fake world of the South. So, yeah,
Disney was in the South and I did digital
Disney's
fingerprints,
different. Disney's different. It's its own like country.
except for not anymore.
I know. Well, happy times or whatever.
I don't know. I don't even know enough about the like logistics to know how I feel about it.
I
Like
don't
I don't.
either. I truly don't.
People just keep
Um,
asking me. They're like, "How do you feel about DeSantis taking over Disney?" I'm like, I know I should have a strong opinion. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, we don't know the outcome yet, so you know,
Right.
I'll let you know in 3 years how I feel about it. I'll have an opinion then. Don't worry.
I'll let you know next time I go to Disney, which I'm
Right,
broke,
right.
so I don't know.
Yeah. So we're getting our fingerprints. We learned that they are not giving him bail. Well, they assume there will be no bail. He's like,
Right.
yeah, we're not bailing him. So they're like, yeah, that's probably not going to
He's like,
happen
I
for you.
wouldn't count on it. I was like, me either. And I was like, plus, also, like, how are you going to afford bail?
Right. You don't have money.
You have no money.
No. But
And you're on like a triple murder charge. Your bail is going to be
sky high.
hella high.
Yeah. And then we go to Dylan and Emma's arrived in town.
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
oh,
oh
Emily did
no,
not want you there.
I know. And we learned she's left Katie with her dad so that she can come be with Dylan. And Dylan immediately tells her about her mom, and he says he knows it was Norman. Like,
And I was like, at
no,
least he's not lying for Norman. Like, I'm
right?
so glad that he made that choice. Like,
Was it good?
it's awkward and uncomfortable, and it's not going to be easy, but I'm so glad he made that choice.
But it's also like the only way to do it. Like, there is no other option.
Correct.
So
Correct.
he did well. He's not lying anymore. We're moving on with life, and we are trying to be adults.
Or
And then we go to the
something.
credits. So great, we did it. We opened. Um,
Ugh.
and then we start back with Bobby Darin playing. So like this whole episode is just like
Yeah.
choices, lots of choices.
So many choices.
And they're playing I forgot the song name. Uh, I can't remember the name of it now. But the Bobby Darin
I
song while they're searching.
I don't remember what song was playing either. Didn't
Yeah,
even know.
I like am seeing it in my head and can't remember the title of it. But yes, they're searching the grounds, the Bates home. They're searching the house and all this stuff.
I was like, what
And
are they looking for? Like at this point, what are they still looking for?
I mean, I guess they need like hard evidence because they found the bodies and they found like they have a lot of what's the word?
Circumstantial.
Circumstantial evidence, yes. As the
Yeah.
non thank you for telling me what that is. Words that I should just know.
Which one of us is a lawyer?
Right. Who went to law school again? Um, but there's like so many people searching the grounds too. It's like they're on like like a deadline. And I'm like, you don't have to beat anyone. Like, who are
Right.
you
Like,
trying to
no.
outrace? And so they're digging in the grounds and they find Audrey's buried luggage. And that is like literal nail in the coffin. But
But
then,
the way he said, I don't mean the officer said, I'm not trying to steal anyone's glory. I got you beat
right.
by a lot.
Yeah. And we turn the camera and he is looking at dead chick. Just like bloody
And
and limp.
here's the thing. I was like, "Ah, I knew they would find Chick, like I knew it. But
Right.
also, they can't pin Chick on Norman because the girl who just found Audrey's suitcase talked to Chick yesterday.
That's true. That's true.
She wrote his name down and he gave his real name.
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
can't pin
I didn't
Chick on
think about
Norman.
that.
So, but the thing is, if they can't pin Chick on Norman and the evidence that they have at the house, that means that there's going to have to be somebody else involved.
Well, yeah, because they also
Which means that
said,
they could find, which means that there could be a way to get Norman off on all of it.
right, well, of course, of course. And they did say like the bed was warm and they're like somebody's been here and so like
And who was the last person who slept in that bed? Despite the fact that Norman did it every night? Not
not
Norman.
Norman. Nope. And on that note, we go to Alex Romero. And I was like, where on earth did he get a car? Was that like Norma's
That was
car?
Norma's car. That was for
Okay.
sure fucking Norma's car. He
I
shot
thought
Chick
it
and then
was.
took the car and left.
Right. That's what I thought had occurred, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making stuff up in my head. Yeah. Um, so he's got a car now and on his way. And we go back to Dylan and Emma, bless her heart, she's just like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. This isn't real. And Dylan's like, I know, I know. And they're like going back and forth and doing this. And then she finally says the most heartbreaking. She's like, I just don't know if we can make it through this. And he says, I understand. And I was like, Well, like, you do understand because you're both real people. You both get
And
it. Like, Emma's
I
like, I don't want this to be over because just because your brother's a murderer who murdered my mom, but
she
I
was like,
also
but
don't
this
know if
is
I can
this
deal
is
with it.
so big. Like, how do we move past something that's
Right.
this
And he's
big?
like, I don't want this to be over either because my brother's a murderer who murdered your mom, but also, like, I get it.
But I was like, Dylan deserves so much better than to have this taken from him. The one good thing, the one thing that he's worked to build himself without anybody making it weird, and it still got made weird, and I hate it.
I was so sad. And we go to the precinct. We're meeting with Julia, and they're just like chit-chatting. She's like, no handcuffs because he's got to sign stuff. We need to go through some stuff. And
Mhm.
they're like, we'll be out here. And she's like, I know. Like, she's super sassy with police, which, like,
Yeah,
also, like,
whatever.
whatever, but also
Yeah,
your client is a straight up like super murderer. Like,
right.
no question. And like, it's not even like sure, the defense attorneys and stuff have to take these cases and have to do the justice or whatever, but like, you chose to take this case. Like,
Yeah, like you are not a public defender.
right. That's what I meant. My God, I don't know anything about the law. I don't remember any of the words I learned in law school. I'm So I got to go to my 73-hour class on Saturday.
Oh my Lord.
Thrilled, can't wait. So he's telling her, he's like, I just didn't do it. He's like, great, I didn't do it. I'm not gonna say guilty. And she's like, yeah, that's right. And he was like, oh, you believe me? She goes, I agree with your approach. I was like, you absolutely don't believe him. You
Correct.
know that he did these things. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So then they're like kind of going back and forth on it. And finally she's like, okay, hear me out. She's like, I like your approach, but I want to make it better. And he's like, okay, yeah, yeah, sure. And she's like, not guilty by reason of insanity. And he like loses it.
He's like, I don't want to
He's
go to
like,
an institution, blah, blah, blah.
right,
And I'm like, no, no, no. But pleading insanity is the right way to go because you're fucking insane.
right. And like also like you literally have the option of death row or an
A
insane
mental
asylum,
institution.
but
Like,
like a nice one. It's
right.
not even like
Like,
one you're used to hearing
no,
about.
like, we're not talking like state hospital, Pineview
Right,
or the electric chair. Fucking
right.
pick one.
Look, you don't have to ask me twice. I'm picking Pineview if you ask me tomorrow. Like, I have a home and I don't have the threat of a lethal injection. I'd still move to Pineview.
But,
I have snacks,
but
and games.
that's a totally different situation.
Well,
Uh,
maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but
Um,
I don't think you're gonna murder someone. I think it would just be
no.
nice to have someone make sure you have your meds and feed you orange juice. Like, I get
Well, I
it.
don't like orange juice.
Okay, well, juice.
Like
There's other
apple juice.
juices. Pineapple juice? I could do pineapple juice.
Yeah, I could do
Yeah.
pineapple. I could do this pineapple passion fruit juice. Vibes.
Mm,
This is
yeah.
like the most hipster stuff. It's from LA. Like it's insane, but
That
it's
is,
fine. I'll
yeah.
buy it again. Um, but yeah, so she's like, I just Dylan thinks it's what's good for you. And he goes, what? Dylan's a doctor now? And I'm like, okay, calm down. No, you don't need
Right.
a doctor to know you're insane. Like that's not a you don't need help with that. And your
Then
doctor's dead or something. So like,
right. She started to ask him if like they could get his doctor on the stand, and I was like, Norman, I dare you to tell her to contact him. Dare
yeah.
you. Please tell her to contact him because that's only going to make your case so much better.
Right, right. And and then they like keep dancing around his disorder and she's like, well, do you do this? And how about this? And you see this? And finally she's just like, has anybody ever told you you have a dissociative disorder? Like, and he like doesn't say no, but he also gets really defensive again about it.
Yeah, and I'm like, just accept the evaluation and the diagnosis because it's your fucking best bet. Like,
Right,
not even terms in terms of like the help that you need, that you like, which I think you desperately need. In
right,
terms of like, what is your best bet for potentially ever having a life outside of prison?
right. Or like not being dead.
Correct.
And then he just snaps and becomes full Norma. And she starts being like, do you have kids? And she's like, no. And she's like, do you want kids? She's like, no. And she's like, great. Because being a mother, it is an impossible job to win. And I was like, you're not even like trying to not be Norma.
Yeah, it was
And
fucking weird.
yeah, and then she's like said something about a place in hell, and she's like, I don't believe in hell. Like, well, you two are not a great match. You're a dynamic duo, and it's gonna be bad for the rest of the world. People that aren't bad for the rest of the world. We go back to Emma and Dylan. And Emma's on the phone with her dad and telling him about Audrey, and she's convincing him to keep Katie there. She's like, she doesn't need to be here. It's bad for her. It's bad for us. It's just like
Just
not a
don't
good
do it. Like, don't do that to the poor kid.
right. And so she gets off the phone and Dylan tries to tell her, he's like, no, it's like, it's totally fine. Like, Norman's locked up. He's not getting out. It's totally safe for Katie to come here. And she's like, for who? Who is this best for? And
Right.
she's like, so she's who I would hope to be if I was in her situation.
Yeah.
Like, she's
No, for
so
sure.
stable and she's like mad about it. And she's like taking it out a little bit on Dylan, but like
Right.
also knowing she can't really do that. So she's just there. And like she's
Yeah. But
really
also,
holding
she's
herself
like,
together.
despite never having a mom, she's like 1,000% putting her child first.
Right. And also like she's taking care of everything for her mom. Like
Yeah.
she's doing the funeral stuff and everything, but that's a later moment. Because right now, Julia shows up and visits Dylan, which is the worst timing. And she's like, just bad
Correct.
time. He's like, they're all bad times now. She's like, there's no good times that anytime soon. And Emma just like goes off and she's like, no, wait, she's like, this is so unnecessary. She's like, he definitely did it. Like, I don't know why this is even a conversation.
And Julio just keeps being like, allegedly. But she's like, did your brother-in-law kill your mother?
And she's
Like,
like, allegedly. And she's just like, no. And she like walks off. And Dylan ends up talking to her and he finds out that Norman's been charged with capital punishment, which means that he is at risk for
the
getting lethal
death.
injection.
Yeah. And I was like, honestly, that'd be the best thing for all of us.
It would be the best thing for all of us, including Dylan and Emma. Emma knows that Dylan does not. He just doesn't
Yeah.
even know what to do, which like also probably how it would be in his situation, to be fair. Like he's also
Right.
doing the best possible
He's
way.
doing he's doing the only thing he knows to be right. And while
Sucks.
us knowing, we know that that's not the correct decision because we have every side of the story as the viewer. Like, I would do the same thing where it's like, I know that they're not doing the right thing, but like, that's not because they're a bad person and they need help. And I would like for sure do whatever I could to like help, especially if it was my brother.
But also, like, if you had like, we know there's no hope, so we're like, don't even support him. But like, if you thought there was hope to get him into a mental institute for the rest of his life, he's not being free on people, and he'll be getting help, and you could
Right.
potentially have a relationship with him in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I probably would do the same thing.
I know. I
Um,
can't.
so, but she tells him that she wants him to go to the arraignment because it's going to look good, and he needs to have someone stand behind him. And
Because
Dylan's like,
humanity is the thing that they can't prove in the courtroom, really.
right. And Dylan's like, I can't do that. He's like, I won't do that to me or to Emma, yada, yada. And she's like, truly, it's the only hope he has. And she's like, I hope to see you there. And I was like, Dylan, stand your ground. Don't do this.
Don't go.
And then Emma's going to make the funeral arrangements. And he tells her that he won't go to, he's like, she's like, are you going to the hearing? And he's like, I won't go if you don't want me to. And she's like, I can't tell you what to do about your family. And I was
Which is
like,
basically, I don't fucking want you to go. But also
right.
I
But
can't, I
like,
can't. I'm
she
not
can't
gonna
say
I'm
that.
not gonna be that person and tell you not to go.
Right. Which is all the correct decisions.
Yes.
It's so frustrating how good they are now.
I
I mean, they've always been
know.
good, but like how good they are and how they're the ones getting screwed over because everyone else sucks.
Correct.
So we're at the funeral home and they're telling her her options. They're like, do you want a burial? Do you want cremation? This, that. This is the most affordable. And she just like does not care. She's like, we got to do this just however it needs to be done. And they're like, but
She,
she was your mom. And she's like, no,
she was
I
like
didn't.
biologically, yes, but like you
Right.
did Norma Bates's funeral. That's my real mom.
Right. She's like, you did Norma Bates. They're like, yeah. She was like, yeah, she was always more of a mother to me than mine was. They were like, oh, okay. And
Always
she's
for the
like,
like 2 years you knew her.
right. She's like, yeah, and then her son killed my mom. So like it's fine. And she's so matter of fact about it. And
But also, like, clearly the original funeral guy is dead. Like, they didn't say
or
it, but the
original.
son and the daughter were
Mm.
running the meeting and they were like making awkward comments about like death and
Yeah,
like missing a bad parent. And I was like, oh, so like the original funeral guy is for sure dead.
for sure, Dad. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if that's another one that Norman killed or if like he just died of natural causes.
No, he probably just died of natural causes. There's no real reason for him to die.
Yeah,
That we know of at least. We're gonna assume there
right.
was no real reason because that makes no
Yeah,
sense.
I couldn't imagine, but you know, whenever people go missing in this town, I just assume Norman's behind it.
Norman first, and then you look at the rational take on it. That's the way to do it. Yeah, so then she goes to the graveyard and finds Norma's gravestone, and she just has like this moment with her, and she tells her
Yeah,
how
but
much
in
she
front of
misses
that
her.
fucking creepy tombstone.
Yeah.
I don't know how she read that and didn't just like yeet herself.
I know. I completely forgot until just now how creepy the tombstone
That's
was.
fucked.
Oh, oh, Emma, bless her heart. And then we go back to
I would have
Dylan,
read that and
who's
been like, yeah, he definitely fucking killed my mom.
1000% killed my mom, killed his mom, killed everyone else's
Killed
mom.
all the
Yeah,
moms.
all the moms. Yeah. So we go back to Dylan and he's looking at pictures on his phone and he's flipping back and forth between Norman and Norma and Katie and Emma. And he's just like sitting in the dark, doesn't know what to do. And he gets up and puts on his jacket. And I was like, oh, Dylan, no.
I said I hate it, but it is the right thing to do for him.
It
Like
is.
for his own, like for who he is as a person.
Yeah, he has to, or it would bother him for the rest of his life. Especially if Emma left him over this, then he would literally have nothing. Like,
Or if Norman did get the death penalty and he could have done something about it. Like there's too many factors.
right?
He's
Or
too
like,
good.
yeah. There's so many things that come into play here. So, so then we go back to Alex and we have some nice casual music again with Wouldn't It Be Nice playing. I just like literally I don't even know what happened in the first like 5 seconds of each of these scenes when new music started because I was just it was insane. Like there was no other
You're
explanation.
like, what is this choice?
They were excellent choices. They're exactly how I choose music for film and TV, but it really threw me off every time. Um, I love a good ironic choice. So, wouldn't it be nice is playing? He's going to the gas station and he's filling up the car, and the guy beside him is just like watching him.
I was like, yeah,
And
Alex, it's not like that kind of car blends in easily. Like you don't have a fucking
right.
Toyota Camry.
Yeah. And so finally the guy just starts like asking him questions and he's like, is it a 68 or 69? And he's like 68. He's like, no, but it really looks like a 69 and blah blah blah
And
blah
Alex
blah.
is
And
like,
Alex is
no,
like,
it's a 68.
no. And then I thought for sure he was like gonna recognize him as Alex because I didn't know how far out of town he was yet. And he didn't. There was no recognition. He was just like went about his way. I was like, all right, all right.
You're right, it is a 68.
It is indeed. Good to go. See you later. So
I was like, is that guy trying to prove it's not Alex's car or that
right.
Alex is stupid? Like, I don't know which one he's trying to prove.
Yeah, I was like, is like because he went like looked at the back and I was like, is he looking at the license plate to like see what the number is? Like, nope. Just looking at the rear bumper. No problem. Super sketchy for no reason. And then we go to the arraignment. And Norman's immediately like concerned about all the people there.
Oh,
And
wait,
she's like,
before we
yeah,
do that, as Alex is starting to leave the gas station, in the newspaper box at the gas station, there is a newspaper article about the fact that Norman was arrested for the murders. And I could not believe that Alex didn't take the paper.
I didn't even notice that. I think I must have been taking notes at the time because I
Mm.
definitely didn't even
Yeah,
see
he's
this.
getting in his car and there's like a free paper box and it says Bates Motel proprietor arrested on blah 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 and it had a picture of Norman on it. And Alex looked at it
That's
and
how
then
he found
got,
out it was
and that's
his.
how he found out. That's how he went to figure out where he was. But he didn't take the paper, and I was baffled. I was like,
Yeah.
you did not like, and I get that he then looked it up later. He just needed that information. But the
He
fact
didn't
that
look sketchy.
but I was like, what?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have even thought twice about it. I would have grabbed paper. Like,
Yeah.
and then I would have looked sketchy and it would have been fine. Um, but
But
yeah, so we go
also,
to the
you're
arraignment.
not planning on murdering anyone.
Not today. Not
And not
today.
premeditatedly.
Not premeditatedly, and probably not ever, but like
Right.
every day is a new day. So, you know. Um,
Tomorrow could be the day I murder.
tomorrow could be the day I snap. We'll see. But it's not today. That's all that matters. So Norman is telling her, he's like, there's so many people. Why don't they have lives or something? And like, Norman, you're the last one to be like talking about staying out of other people's lives, first of all. And she's like, no, 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 it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Just ignore everyone. And then when they all rise for the judge, Dylan walks in. But instead of sitting in his saved seat in the front, he sits in the very back. And I was like, okay, compromises.
Yeah.
Compromise. And I couldn't tell like for a second if it was gonna come back to Norman instead of Norma. And like it didn't. I thought it might for a second though, because then it was like very obvious Norma. I mean, of course, when it like went to her, it was Norma, but like also before I was
Yeah.
like, maybe be like awkward Norman. But the judge is asking her, he's like, do you know what I've said? And she's like, yes. And he's like, are you Norman? And she's like, yes. I was like, you are not. You are
No,
not
you are, yeah,
Norman.
you are not
Those are
Norman. That is,
different people. Yeah. And so she starts listing the charges and like the victims and she's going through and she's like, it's Sam Loomis, Madeline, who he was infatuated with, and like all
oh,
the
is
connections
this
not knowing
when
him.
the sheriff is on the stand?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, the
Yeah.
sheriff's on the stand now. And then they mentioned the guy Jim Brickwell, and he was a cellmate with Alex, the stepfather. And then they were like,
Yeah, because the lawyer asks what connection do these people have, and they were
yeah,
like, absolutely none,
except Norman.
except Norman.
Yeah. And then they're like, and his brother Dylan's mother-in-law, and Dylan just like walks out.
It's like
And I
I
was like,
lied. I can't
yep.
do it.
I was like, good for you, Dylan. You shouldn't have to like sit through that.
Yeah.
But then like 2.5 seconds later, Dylan and Madeline run into each other again. And I was like, oh, they're gonna commiserate. Nope.
Incorrect.
Madeline just like blames him for everything. She's like, you knew everything. You're his brother. And like to an extent, he knew Norman needed help. But there
Yeah.
was no way he could know that Norman's been killing people for 2 years because Norma wasn't there. He didn't even know
Right.
Norma was dead. Like, it's
Right.
also not his job.
But also like it hits him because it's kind of the same thing. Like because he did hide Audrey being missing that whole time from Emma, and Madeline is basically telling him that Emma's right and that he did ruin everything.
Yeah, yeah. And like, he should have told her, but at the same time, like, he didn't actually do anything. Like, he can't hold himself responsible
Yeah.
forever for the things that Norman did. And poor Dylan. Poor
Yeah.
Dylan. And we go back to Maggie and Alex. And Alex just like walks in. She's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "I need your computer right now. I need your computer." And I was like, "Okay, calm down. Everything's fine."
Yeah.
Um, and he starts looking up where Norman is being held, and she's like, "You don't need any of this." And then she goes off on this like love struck tangent at him. She's like, "We'll change our names. We'll start over. We'll go to this cabin that my family has." I was like, "Maggie,
She's like,
who are you?"
like I've always kind of known, like we've always kind of seen that Maggie has like a little bit of a crush on him, like
Well,
in
sure.
a weird way. But then she was like, I know that losing Norma broke you, but I don't care if you're broken.
I was like,
That
"These are
is
not
all
rational."
no, that's almost worse than being like, I know you feel broken right now, but I'll fix you. That's
Right.
like that's bad. But being like, I know you're broken, but I will still love you broken. That is like
Yeah, it
I
really
find that
gave
almost
me,
I find that almost worse than thinking you can fix someone is thinking that you can love them
I
even when they don't love
think
themselves.
so. Right. Like it gave me like quite an ick because I thought she was like one of the rational ones and she was very smart and like she was taking care of him because she cared him and she knows inherently he's not bad. But no, she's just in love with him and
She's just
ready to
in
run
love
away
with
and change her
him.
whole life. I was like,
Yeah.
all right. these are very different people than I thought they were.
No, no, it was, yeah, it was the ick. It was the ick for sure.
And thankfully he says no and just leaves. He's like, goodbye, Maggie. And
Yeah.
I was like, great, good choice. The
Hmm.
only rational, irrational person we have in this like episode right
Oh
now.
yeah, no,
And
he's lost his mind.
like
I
he's
can
unhinged,
I can no
but
longer support most of the decisions he's making.
I haven't seen the result of all of them. So I'll let you know. But
Okay.
we go to Emma. And I was like, is she watching the cremation? Is that a thing people are allowed to do? Like, that
Yeah,
feels really
that feels
morbid.
really weird. It's super morbid. I did
Like,
not
it
like
was a
it.
great camera scene with like the flames on her face while they were recording. But like in a
But
real world situation,
that feels morbid.
right? I'm like, I don't feel like that should be allowed. I don't know if it is or not, but whatever.
I'm gonna look it up right now because that feels
Good.
wrong.
Um, yeah, so it feels wrong. And so she's watching the body be cremated, and then she takes the ashes, and I like couldn't figure out where she was spreading the ashes. Is it allowed? Your face is
It's
saying the word.
absolutely allowed.
Why would you want
The
to do that?
specific guidelines depend on the rules established by your mortuary or crematorium, but there are no laws around witnessing cremations.
I would like to start a mortuary simply so I can ban people from doing that because that is creepy, and I feel like that would really traumatize you.
There are places that have full cremation viewing rooms that are like nice and like set
You
up.
know, I actually think I did know that now that you're saying that. I feel like I've heard of these like viewing rooms.
That is the most fucked up thing I've ever heard in my entire
I
life.
don't love it. I don't love it.
I don't love.
So it's allowed, I guess. She is allowed to be there. And then she takes the ashes and she's throwing them over a cliff. I was
Okay,
like, is
when they
this
showed her walking in the woods, my first thought was, "Oh my God, she's gonna find Norma's body." I was a
I
hundred
didn't even
percent
think of
sure.
that.
I was 100% sure that that's what they were doing. But then instead, they showed where she was throwing it. I go, never mind. But that's like a fucking beautiful view. Like
It
that.
is. So my first thought was she was gonna go to the cliff where she jumped off into the water because she had that like almost life or death moment herself. And then
Yeah.
this cliff was way higher and not allowed, not connected to water. So I have no idea where this place was, other
No,
than
but
just like a big
it was
cliff.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I,
So I'm
I was
guessing that's
really
all it
I
was.
was really disappointed she didn't find Norma's body though, because that would have
Yeah,
been
I didn't even think of that. That would have been that would have been great.
I don't
But
know what it would have done for the plot
I was
going
about to say that
forward.
would have changed a lot of
That would have changed
things.
a lot of things for the plot going forward, but like I was so sure that that's where we were going.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been interesting. But unfortunately, no, she's just still alone. I was like, poor Emma, like seeing her in this light, I hope I'm wrong, but feels like a foreshadowing of her moving forward on her own.
Yeah.
I don't even want to like put it into the universe, but like it's already happened now. Like I'm not changing the ending.
Right.
So I just hope I'm wrong.
Right.
So we go back to the motel with Dylan, and it's so trippy, this like camera shot, because she comes in and it's dark, and the only time you see light is when the red light is flashing. And like
It's so foreboding.
right, and like that felt foreshadowing, and I was like,
Yeah.
only bad things are coming. And like
Well,
I don't know what that
and then they're
means.
like laying in bed and she's like, I was taking care of my mom. And he was like, I understand. And then she was like, and he was like, I went to the hearing. And she was like, I understand. And he was like, Emma, she goes, let's not talk now.
It was so
And
sad
I was
because they're
like,
so like mature and they're so handling this better than most people ever would. And like,
but it's not enough. Like being mature and being able to have the conversation is not enough when you know you can't. Like we are both at a level where if we needed to have the conversation, we could have it, like in terms of how we respect each other, but emotionally, neither one of us is capable of having this conversation. That is tragic.
that is so heartbreaking.
But like that's the thing that like that's how people who like lose a child end up getting
Yeah.
divorced. Like because like it's it's
There's
not that
no
we
going
don't
back.
there's no way to have that conversation.
Yeah. So she says she's going home tomorrow where it's normal. I was like, that is a good choice, but also very sad.
Mhm.
But first, she stops at the precinct.
Okay. But before she actually leaves, okay,
Oh,
I have a couple things. So, because
okay.
they have their actual moment where they're saying goodbye. Like she's
Mhm.
packing up her suitcase. He goes, "Oh, are you leaving?" And they like hug and like kiss each other and say goodbye, but they don't say "I love you." And then
I
there's like a
know,
moment,
yes.
and there's like a moment where she's standing outside the door, and you see her want to turn around, and then she just can't. And I wrote, "Ugh, I hate that." And then she got to the police office, and I go, "Oh, but I hate this even more."
But this scene was so good. Like
Oh yeah,
she
no,
was,
I wrote that when she went to go see Norman because I was afraid she was going to kill him. But then we
I
actually
didn't
get
know
to the
what was gonna happen.
I was afraid she was going to like try to just fucking kill him. But then we get to
Yeah.
the scene where she's actually talking to Norman.
Yeah. Yeah, because
I
she
want it.
walks up
I
and he's
sobbed.
like, he's like, "Hello, Emma. I guess I know why you're here." And she's like, "I'm glad somebody does." She's like, "I don't know
Yeah.
why I'm here."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, I assume it's about your mother." And she was like, "I guess so." And he's like, or she says something like, "You killed her." And he's like, "I wouldn't kill anybody. You know that." But it's like the creepiest like way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
then she just goes, "Where's Norman?" And I was like, chills.
I
And
know.
then Norma says she was using Norman and using you. And it's like not even trying to fight that she's not Norman right
Yeah.
now.
And
And
she's
she even
like,
tries, she's like,
can I talk to him?
Mhm.
And she like explained, she was like, Norman is asleep and in his bed, and apple pie is baking in the oven. And when he wakes up, everything's going to be okay. She was like, well, then can you at least tell him I miss him?
And like that description of like him asleep and everything's gonna be okay when he wakes up, there's food in the kitchen, like was the same thing that Norman told Dylan when he gets home and Norman's dressed up in her like dress and apron cooking in the kitchen. And she
Yeah.
tells him the same thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, you tell him I miss him.
Well, and it's because like that's what Norman does. Like that's how he dissociates. He puts himself to sleep to wake
Right.
up when everything's okay.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
he's been
so
to sleep for a few days now.
a while. It's been a hot second.
Couple days. And then we get to our final scene of this crazy episode back at Alex Romero. And he walks up to Regina, who's walking out, and he's like, "I'm sorry," and pulls a gun on her. And he's like, "I have to get access to Norman."
Okay. So remember how last week I said that the last moment of the second to last episode was going to be Alex dying?
Yes.
So
And I
when
said
he
it was going to
starts,
be the first moment of the last episode.
well, and he breaks into the prison, and I go, fuck, I was right. Like he's got,
I
and
thought you were right too.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was right, and he's gonna die. And all I'm begging is that it's not fuckface Green who shoots him. Like that's all I'm asking. Anybody else can shoot him except for the sheriff because I hate her.
Right. Correct. Or Norman, because,
Yeah.
right.
But then what does transpire? Not at all what I was expecting, and I have no fucking idea where we're going from here.
Yep, because next up, he has everyone get on the ground, takes out their weapons. One of the other cops pulls a gun on him. He shoots him in the arm. He's like, "Nope, we're not playing games." And then he tells everyone, he says, "Get into my office," because he still feels like he runs the place. And they all go in there, and he walks by, and like the look on his face is like crazed when he looks at Norman. He's like, "Oh, hello." Like, she's like, "Oh God, the whole world's about to end." And it kind of does. So he puts all of the police officers into Norman's cell and takes Norman out and locks them all in there. And then like kidnaps Regina and Norman. And he like goes to choke him to death. And the police are like, "Oh no, you're gonna kill him." And first of all, I'm like, well, yes, correct. Just let it happen.
Correct.
Like
I
keep
was
it
waiting.
going.
I was waiting. I was like, is he actually gonna kill him? And the whole last episode is gonna be like about dead Norman? Like that would be that would be a thing I never suspected.
Right. For sure. For sure. And because this is technically after all of the movies.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it could be how he dies. But not yet, unfortunately. He just takes them out to the car and he puts Regina in the front and puts Norman in the back and has his gun on him. And Norman's like, "What do you want with us?" And he's like, "You're gonna take me to her body." And I was like, "What? What are we doing?" And that's so good.
What is happening?
Literally, the world is ending.
Also, that episode was only 39 minutes long, which is 5 minutes shorter than any other episode has been.
It felt like it was 75 minutes
It
long.
was,
Like there was so
yeah,
much that happened.
yeah, but it was the shortest episode so far. And I was like, the finale better not only be 39 minutes. How are you going to wrap this up in 39 minutes?
Right. And like that's where I want to go next. Like, what's left? What do we have left to wrap up? Alex, obviously.
Yeah.
Emma and Dylan, obviously. Dr.
Norman's like,
Edward, are we
yeah,
going to come back to him?
I don't know. I don't know.
And then is that all that's left now?
Well, yeah, like, no, well, and Norman actually, like, what's going to happen to
Well,
Norman?
Norman, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But like outside storylines that like aren't the main storyline. I feel like Norman is
Yeah.
like the storyline.
Yeah. It's Alex, Dylan, and Emma, and
Dr. Edwards. And
Dr. Edwards.
I am a little concerned we're not going to figure out what happened with Dr. Edwards.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned they're going to leave that one out and just leave
Even
it
though they've done a
hanging.
really good job so far of like tying up loose ends,
Yeah.
I
But
am a little concerned about that. But look, honestly, I can let it go. If that's the only thing they don't tie up, I can let it go.
yeah.
Whew. Um, I have no trivia for you. I'm sorry. Who do you
What
want
is
to
there?
punch in the face?
Who do I not want to punch in the face, like, to be
Better
honest?
question, better question.
But who would I like to punch in the face? Um, Julia?
I wanted to punch in the face.
The weird thing is she didn't do anything like in particular that
Oh, she
like,
did.
oh,
She
what?
like first of all, she's representing Norman at her own free
But
will.
I
And
mean, to be fair, she like for a lot of money.
she also like manipulated Dylan into going to this hearing, like when she knew it was worse for him. Like
That's fair.
and
I don't
like
I don't think that that makes her a bad person. I think that
I
makes her a
do.
good lawyer.
Yeah, but those can both be true.
It's true.
Those can both be true.
Well, you always seem very passionate about that, so I will let you have her because I don't actually have a reason to punch her, just like I didn't know who else to pick. Um,
Well,
and
I have all of those.
I will go with I'm gonna go with Maggie
She would have been my second guess.
because she just was uncomfy. And like, listen,
It was
Norman
icky, yeah.
sucks. Like Norman
Oh,
sucks. Alex did some fucked up things this episode. Like I have plenty of people that I should be punching over this poor lovesick fucked up woman. But like,
but like it's not the time, Maggie.
no, no, no. It was it feels really like um Kathy Bates in Misery.
Yes.
Like you're
Yes.
here and you're hurt and I'm gonna nurse you back to health and then you're gonna run
Oh,
away with me and love me. Like to be fair, she didn't hit him with a car first, but like um but yeah, I don't like it.
yeah, so icky, so icky. So so who's your MVP then?
Emma.
Of course, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
Emma
she is the MVP.
for honestly for no other moment. Like she did a lot of things that were great in this episode and she was mature and responsible and wonderful and level-headed and all of those things, but purely for the moment of tell Norman I miss him. That's it. That's it. I'm done.
So many. My MVP, because you picked Emma, is Dylan. Because he is really holding it together for someone who really should not be holding it together. Like he's not 100% together by any means, but he is doing much better than I would have expected. And he's
Correct.
making the best choices in the best ways he knows how. And there's just
Yeah.
no winning. He has no winning choices to pick.
Yeah.
So you like anything else to say? Oh, I'll tell you, I looked it up. The next episode is 43 minutes. So
Oh, good. Fantastic. Because
normal times.
that was, yeah, I don't know why this one was only 39.
Won't either.
Probably just to stress me out.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
the only thing I'm gonna say is as my teaser for the next episode of the podcast, which is always fun because it's like actually a teaser because you have no idea what's going on.
I
Um,
really thought you were going to say your next teaser for Bates Motel. And I was like, have you watched the final episode already? I was about to really come at you. But you're talking about Stargate.
no, no,
I'm
for
with you. Like
Stargate.
literally the next
The
episode
next episode
of
of the podcast, not of
yes.
Bates.
Sure.
My
Sure.
my mini spoiler for the next episode of the podcast is that we're gonna like weirdly cross into the horror genre again, but like
Love that.
not in the way any of you are thinking.
Okay. Are there like evil baby dolls? Because those freak me out.
No, but you're not as far off as I would have thought your first guess would be.
I'm already uncomfortable. I like don't even I can't handle this today. I can't.
It's fine. It's great. We're doing fantastic.
Great. Excellent. Can't wait. Woohoo. Um, so on that note, if you
Yeah.
want to like say something, if you have thoughts and feelings, um, by the time this comes out, I will imagine we will have watched the finale, so you can send us whatever you want at this point because we've seen it all. Um, you can email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. Find us on all the social medias at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for some creepy talking dolls next week. Bye.